Bitcoin conference week. Bitcoin's starting to see a little bit of pump to the upside. Are we going to get a little bit of choppiness and then a drop in price action to scare people before a liftoff? Is the price about to break out? We're getting some critical signals that we want to pay attention to right now. So everybody lock it in. I'm coming to you from Las Vegas. So a little bit different studio setup today. I'm actually at my cousin's place before we get our villa that we're moving. We're getting a studio set up in tomorrow, but as we get this out, let me go ahead and repost these links everywhere so we can get this going live. But how you guys feeling? I mean, these markets, it's getting exciting. I hope you guys are all locked in because this market's going to leave you behind if you're not. So let's go ahead and take advantage of what the market has given us. And let's get this retweeted out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell if you would. And let's go ahead and make sure. Hold on. There we go. I'm trying to get this retweeted out. There we go. Boom. And now I think it's time. I think it's time to get into it. I think it's time to talk about these freaking markets. Let's go. Live from Las Vegas, baby. Got my new BitLab Academy hat on, and the market is looking very ripe right now. We're seeing the price action. Obviously, I mean, we've been watching this break out to the upside, but the chop right in this zone. Bitcoin just holding on to trying to actually break out and leave everybody behind once we get through this mega pump gateway. This is what we're looking at right here. We tapped right into it, little deviation above, came right back down, looking good. But what's going to happen here? As it stands, what we're seeing is a price action just swinging to the upside, swinging to the downside, coming right back to middle. Let me just make sure audio, visual, everything's going on. I don't have my multi-monitor set up, so I have to go between screens to see. How's everybody doing? Tommy, how you doing? Multi-sig dummy, how you doing? Ben Simmons, how you doing? Chipper, how you doing? This is gonna be a little bit shorter stream because I got to get some stuff together. We're moving over to the villa today. But I got the Bitcoin shirt on, got the BitLab hat on. We got the charts up on the screen. We got small face, no toe. How you doing? Green Day Profits. Ah, you had a baby. All right. Oh, I got Pickles behind me. I can hear him. Come here. Come here. We got Pickles with us today. Pickles, the Bitcoin wiener. Let's go. All right, let's jump into these charts, everybody. Fibonacci's, let's talk about it. All right, let's go. I got a weird setup today, so if I mess up screens, just let me know. But let's go ahead and look at what's going on because we got some good setups. We got some great things brewing. We're sitting here. Come on, there we go. We're sitting back at 3.44 trillion. Bitcoin's hovering right around that $110,000 mark. If we look at this, this is looking beautiful. I mean, this could be the retest we needed. And maybe it did need to come all the way down, but I wouldn't necessarily be super convicted on this absolutely just launching from here or breaking down. I think there's some hesitation with what's going on in the market right now because we have the Bitcoin conference. We have seen historically there's been a little bit of sell-offs following the conference because there's speculation into things that might get announced, and then if it's not as exciting, then there's tends to be a little bit of a sell the news. But let me know right now as we're getting going, as we're kicking the tires, lighting the fires. Drop a one in chat if the audio sounds okay because I'm using my AirPod as actually I'm using my MacBook. Yeah, I'm using the AirPods as a mic. Let me know if that's sounding okay. Yeah, see you in Vegas. I'm here in Vegas, baby. Tom Crown, what's up, buddy? Yeah, I'm here now. You gotta I'll send you a DM. We got a thing we're doing tomorrow. If you want to come by the villa, we'll be cooking out and doing interviews and just hanging. But yeah, we'll do it. All right. So everything looks good, sounds good. Okay, let's jump into it. Okay, Bitcoin, beautiful structure, just stair stepping to the upside. This is on the daily chart. Let's get down to where all you degens want to see what's going on because what we got here is just price action, just building beautiful structure. I mean, look, nice up a little bit. I mean, this looks zoomed in like what we saw. Look at this. It's the same structure. This is a 3-day chart with a nice run up, a little, accumulation before we actually jump on the springboard. And we're seeing the same thing here on this 2-hour chart. Look at this. Push up, a little accumulation, just pop. Same thing right here coming down to test. I'm watching this zone. I still think we're going to get some sort of flush into this area, maybe a little bit lower. Um, so we have to pay attention to this. There's no clear signal on this right now. With everything going on, we're going to go through only very few stories because I want to do mostly charts here with each and every one of you today because this is what we're looking at. I mean, this is looking super bullish, but when we come through some of these things, I shared this, just highlight. I shared this in the beginning of April. In the beginning of April, April 7th, I outlined the likely basically bull reversal back to the upside. And I also shared this a few days later. I said, this is Dum Dum the Bear. He doesn't know global liquidity is already exploding higher with only more indicators. Large flood of liquidity is about to push everything higher. Risk assets like Bitcoin and altcoins going exponential. So don't be like Dum Dum the Bear and be trying to trade downside here. I'm only looking for dip buying opportunities, or I'm sitting on my hands sitting on my hands and letting the market do the work because we're seeing overwhelming bullishness. Let me just make sure this, okay, that's on. You should be able to hear this. Just this is what we have to pay attention to. It's not just liquidity coming in terms of money printing or, sort of market, stealth dynamics that they're doing reverse repo and all this bullshit that none of us had ever heard before, 3 years ago. We also have huge amounts of liquidity coming in from major players on the global financial stage, like Bank of America, BlackRock, Fidelity. I mean, name the bank, name that. This is all coming into Bitcoin. But listen to this.
Trillions of dollars in assets under management, and registered reps all over the country, financial advisors can now put people in Bitcoin. We knew it was going to make it go up. We knew the Trump administration was basically friendly to crypto. This was such an inevitable move. That's why it's gone higher now. That's probably why it's going to continue to go higher, because Bank of America, for example, the biggest bank, has not yet made that decision, and they are bound to.
They are bound to, just like every institution out there, and the ones that don't are going to either wither away, or they're going to be acquired by a company that actually implements a Bitcoin strategy. This is just going to be leapfrogging. I think we have broken back over $110,000. Okay, let's not lose our minds. Bitcoin pop. Well, really, what we're seeing here is the price action coming right back into this zone. Now, coming back over, we're going to come back to this in just a moment. But what we're seeing here is this. These are the charts that are the most important, everybody. This is what we want to be paying attention to. Okay, Bitcoin price, sure, but the dollar, the strength of the dollar has been falling. Look at this inverse correlation. Strength of dollar falling, Bitcoin rising. At the same time, the fuel for the mother bullish fire to burn higher and higher is this global liquidity. This is what fuels this engine to push higher. This correlated with this dropping. Well, guys, we are set up for so much success. And everybody goes, but the U.S. isn't going to be printing money. Maybe they'll use stealth tactics. Basically buying on reverse repo, the Treasury General account. There's a number of different things that they can do. But it's not just the U.S. We also have major players out there on the world stage, like China. People's Bank of China injects 247 billion yuan. It's somewhere between 35 to 50 billion dollars in US dollar value. This is in China, right? So Bitcoin is a global asset. We have to remember it doesn't really quite necessarily matter only what Jerome Powell's doing, only what we're doing with the Fed rate cuts, only what Trump's tariff and trade wars are. In fact, some of the tariffs and trade war pressures that we're seeing in China right now are actually causing some of the economic stress, in addition to what they had already had before this, basically incentivizing or pushing them towards more and more basically money printing or different financial tools to help prevent a catastrophe on their side. Now, beyond this, we also have this simple chart right here, just to look at it very simply. The breakdown, beautiful. It's almost like a Wyckoff accumulation. Breakdown into a spring, pushing back up, and not only breaking through this, but coming down and testing this previous range right in here. This is looking fantastic. And that's why when we're looking at the chart, this is you want to watch for pullbacks coming back into a zone near a previous range high, which we're seeing rinse and repeat over and over and over and over and over again, and not just Bitcoin, but every asset class. So when we see that, and we see banks on the sidelines just now getting their beaks wet, figuring out how they can incorporate Bitcoin and crypto, when we see the stablecoin bills getting making progress along, that we're going to see a massive explosion of integrations and utilization of things like that throughout the global financial industry. And when you see this chart right here with the money supply exploding, the strength of the dollar falling, this is a recipe for risk on behavior. And that's why for people that are bearish right now, I don't know what they're looking at unless they're only doomers. I got to have some coffee. Now, what else we got? Let's actually refresh this. This is about 2 days ago. I mean, look at this, guys. This is the state of health in the market right now is actually blowing my mind for what we're seeing comparatively with previous range tops, if you want to call it. What I mean by that is if you come over here and look at the MVRVZ score, this is what we're looking at. This measurement here is a spread between the realized price, sorry, the market value. This is what you're seeing traded on exchange, and then this is the realized value, the average of every coin that's in circulation, the average price that Bitcoin was the last time it moved. So if I sold something to you today and you're holding it for, a year, then that average price is going to be factored based on when you bought it. So that what we're seeing here is this beautiful moving average that moves a lot slower than the market value here. And this gives us great signal whether we're near market cycle tops and even sometimes when we're near market cycle bottoms. And as we're seeing right here, you don't see anything in the context of when you get this super hype cycle, huge amount of pressure coming in as we're seeing like this, and the price runs away from this realized price here. This is what this spread is here. We haven't gotten anything like that. We got a little peak up above this measurement level right here. I think this is like this is 3 on the MVRV, but look at how high this goes. This went up to 7. This one over here went up to 10.2. This one over here went up to there's no way that 9. Oh, I thought it said 86. Yeah, look at this. I mean, so we are so low. This is not anywhere near what I would consider any sort of topping behavior. Now, that does not mean, in that same breath, this does not mean because this hasn't topped based on this signal. That does not mean that we can't still have a pretty big washout to the downside. Having a washout to the downside does not mean that the market top is in. Okay, what we want to see is if we do get some sort of move to the downside, being prepared, being ready to buy, having capital on the side, dry powder so you can take advantage of it, but also be aware that if it happens, then you're not so emotionally charged and feeling like a slave to what the market's doing versus what you're doing with your strategy. So I'm okay if this happens, if this sort of bounces to the downside, because if that happens, what would likely turn out on this chart would be something like, a bit of like a falling wedge or something like that. And that would be beautiful, beautiful bullish structure. And I would not be mad at that at all. Now, I feel at the same time while I'm being staying prepared for downside price action if it were to come. I'm much more on the side of more likely top sideways a bit and then higher or just higher. I feel like there's just underlying bullishness that's not just people not willing to sell, but there's just a continued onslaught of buy pressure that's coming into this market as different banks, different institutions, different governments, different ultra high net worth people, and the people like you and I that are just waking up to the absolute debauchery and nastiness that fiat money is and the malfeasance that governments have basically destroyed the value of those dollars or Turkish liras or the bolivar or the peso, whatever it is, and seeing that, oh, Bitcoin is this thing outside of the system. It gets to benefit, literally, Bitcoin, it gets to benefit from all the nonsense that government mismanagement of those government money systems are. So when we're seeing this and we're seeing people race to stack, I do think that the pressure is likely more to the upside than even though this would be a great buy opportunity, I'm prepared. I'm feeling less and less likely that it's going to happen. Now, continuing on, we got a couple other, no, I guess we ran through all those. Um, this right here, capital flow. Essentially, this is another way to say money flow, but this is a capital flow into Bitcoin. I've talked about this a lot. This structure right here is looking very similar to what we saw back in 2017, back here where we had these two large peaks with huge spikes of new liquidity coming in to Bitcoin. resets back to zero. It's over, right? Well, does this look anywhere anything like it's over? Look at how much higher this went. Then we had another major spike up, comes back down to this zero line. Was this over? No, this was actually right into the halving, and we still had this massive explosion to the upside that followed. Now, this structure right here, it's kind of like this is feeling like we are somewhere about right in here. Somewhere about right in here, which makes sense because this is also roughly about where the previous all-time high was. So on this sort of leg here, what do you see? Massive inflow, and then people get scared on corrections. Larger inflow, people get scared. Larger inflow, and this is when you start seeing that retail FOMO hype. But the interesting thing about what's happening right now in this market, everybody, the interesting thing about what's happening right now in this market is now we have institutions, governments, banks, and the world over, people waking up to this asset class. And not only do they not need to go into the crypto market to get access, now we have ETFs, now we have different ETPs. There's different proxies like MicroStrategy or MetaPlanet or GameStop. Similar Scientific. The list goes on and on. In fact, if I refresh this page, the reason I think this is important because everybody's wondering when retail is going to come in. Well, first off, that's one of the most beautiful things about us not being at a top. We haven't seen the huge retail inflow, meaning we haven't gotten to the point where the market gets sort of overhyped, where, Aunt Pam and Uncle Linda and Uncle Linda. I don't. We're beyond that. But you know what I'm saying. Aunt Larry and Uncle Linda. There you go. That indicator of just the Uber driver, the random people out there that are outside of the system. When everybody starts to really start to to buy into the hype, that tends to be when you start to see a market cycle top. But the thing about this is, I think we're going to see institutions act like retail this cycle. And what I mean by that, where is the thing I'm looking for? Here is ETF tracker right here. Um, Basically racing to get in and get their strategies sorted. This will load in a second, I guess. Slow internet. Um, the whole point, it's a long list of institutions. Who cares? There's a lot of institutions out there. That's all I was trying to show you. And just a reminder where we're at on this basically days since cycle bottom. This is measuring from the market cycle bottom and overlaid with the other two previous cycles, 2017 and 2021. And what we're seeing is we had, look at this, perfect middle of the road between these two different cycles. We had a deviation up. Look at that. Now we're getting a deviation below. But either way, I do think this is going to mean revert back up into this zone up here in the very near future, especially when we're looking at everything going on in this market. Now, I want you to pay attention to something else because we all want alts. We want alts so bad. But looking at the Bitcoin dominance, this is just trying to give the most confusing signal ever. And that is there going to be an alt season 2025? Well, yes, there will be, but I don't think it's going to be anything like what everybody's wanting, where you throw a dart at anything on the crypto map and everything runs. I think this is going to be more institutional focus, very much more big money focus, but this is what we're watching for. As it stands right now, this has been trending up since back here in 2022. Basically 3 years to the upside. So the trend is your friend until the end, right? Then this means the trend right now is Bitcoin is the star of the show. Now it keeps feeling like it's going to be on the cusp of really breaking down like it did here, but what did it do? Came back up and continued higher. So same thing here, broke down right into the trend line that we've had here. This was that little mini, oh, they're actually going to run, and then they slowed down. We're kind of at the decision point in the very near term, in the midterm, over the next few weeks of right in here. Look at this breakdown from this high, this Fibonacci breakdown from this high to this low. The dominance bounced and went perfectly right into this golden pocket just to create max frustration for everybody in alts. Because if you're looking at this as an analyst, you say, well, this would be a great spot based on the data, looking at this chart and the structure, this would be a great spot that if you wanted to be very aggressive, that if this does reject here, because this is a very classic sort of rejection spot, then this could be signaling that we're about to get a larger move on alts. The problem with this is all the capital focus right now is dominated overwhelmingly with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a narrative. Retail's, it's not like they're like flush with cash in all their bank accounts right now. When you look at the data out there, and bank accounts are, the savings are at near record lows. We're at record highs for debt and debt defaults and bankruptcies. So is retail going to have a major part in actually pushing the altcoin market to have those explosive moves? Or is it going to be institutional cherry picking, like things like Chainlink, BitTensor, Ondo, uh, Avalanche, Cardano, Solana? These major players, I think, are going to be the stars of the show, but there are going to be some scattered shot throughout all these other, altcoins that we're seeing here, especially if you come over here to coin market cap. We are going to see, there are going to be things that just popcorn around and have great movement, but I don't think it's just going to be run, run, run city. It's going to be good. You just need to make sure that you're prepared on some of the coins you're holding to have your feelings hurt. When we look at the others chart, this is that stair stepping pattern that we were talking about. Beautiful. I won't really call this a bull flag, but similar bull flag structure, but falling wedge breakout. Cool. Came right back into this zone. This is not giving clear signal if it wants to make that next move higher or if it wants to come down and test one more time back into this trend line that it has several times before. I think the name of the game right now is patience. Patience into June. There's still a huge pervasive question about, was it sell in May and walk away, or is this actually going to push? I've shown you the data. There's no clear signal in crypto that says there's a high likelihood that a higher statistical probability that you should sell in May. It's been very scattershot throughout the last 12 years, 14 years. When you look at the stock market, there's no signal that says sell a man walk away. It's an irrelevant thing. I think there was a bad year that people looked at back in 2022, especially in crypto, and so they just held on to this narrative. Now, what do we do? Well, Bitcoin is still feeling very bullish. I think we just need to be a little bit patient here. If we do stair step down, we're prepared. I mean, this came right into the zone that we outlined. We had the falling broadening wedge, breaks out, comes down, retests, pushes back up. It's just, it wants to go. It just doesn't have the juice yet. There's something needs to kick. Now, what is that? Remember, one of the things that just happened over the last few days was everything's going good, and then we get the EU tariffs, 50%. Market drops. And then as soon as that happens, got dogs running around behind me. And then as soon as that happens, market drops, and then Trump comes back out and says, "Oh, guys, we actually got a call from the EU president or whatever it was, a representative. We're going to delay this. We're going to basically delay that increased tariff. Market rebounds back to the upside. So we're still on this bit of a stopgap of the risk on feeling is in the market, but it's hesitating because we don't have full clarity on what the final determination of what the tariffs are going to be and what trade deals are going to happen. Because we have this sort of 90-day window that now we're well into. I think it goes into June into August, that there's some uncertainty as to where that's going to land. I do think once all this gets cleared up, I think we're going to have such a booming fall. And I think with Bitcoin specifically, there's so much bullishness of just the onslaught of new players coming in and stacking in to this asset. So, Cutler, before we go, I just want to highlight a couple things. We got Ondo just trading sideways, essentially. Nice rounding bottom, having these sort of attempts up, rejected back down. Same attempt up, rejected right back down. Now we sitting over here. We want to be bullish on this, but when you look at it, you got this, pretty large head and shoulders forming here, which could indicate, which I think would be a trap, that we're going to get a big, a larger test to the downside, but I'm not believing it. If we get it, I would be super thankful. I'm going to be stacking if we drop back below 87, if we get back down to low 80s. Link, same thing. Look at this structure. Look at Ondo, and then look at Lake. Everything is what it's like. It's like the market makers are all uh, doing the same thing on all the assets. I think a lot of things are kind of being held at bay right now because there's not a lot of new capital coming in the altcoin market currently. But remember what's coming to Chainlink in November. All those fees and all those integrations they have are Chainlink's going to start to be making a lot of money off that. So that's one of the reasons why I've been stacking to that. But Aerodrome, nice rounding. It's not rounding, but V-shaped recovery, launch back up. It's just rising broadening wedge kind of indicated it wanted to break down. And look at this, broke down. Now it's currently retesting. If this rejects, I'm watching back down here in mid 50s, maybe a bit lower. But this is one of those other coins because it's so integrated with the base ecosystem, tied in very heavily with Coinbase. Coinbase made that $100 million market buy of Aerodrome last year. Think it was last year. Just time is so distorted these days. But they're doing a lot of stuff. Major things on base, major things with Coinbase, major things with what's happening with institutions and just the client base within Coinbase. There's a lot of words base in that last sentence, but you get what I'm saying. I'm very bullish on this. If this does give us another opportunity lower, I'm here for it. Tau, the tensor Tau. I mean, look at this. Look this. These two look almost the same. Look at this structure. V shape, push up, chop, 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 chop. Bit tensor tau, V shape, push up, chop, 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 chop. All these are just looking the same. So I'd be a little bit, I don't want to say cautious, just be patient here. Um, I expect there will likely be some announcements this week at the Bitcoin conference. We got both Trump brothers talking, uh, Ross Ulbricht, JD Vance, Gary and Grant Cardone. There's Michael Saylor. There's a number of things that could happen that could push price in either direction this week. But going into the middle of June, I think we're going to start seeing some supreme bullishness. Morpho, beautiful rounding bottom, getting a little bit frustrating here. Kind of got a broadening wedge coming here. We got a bit of a channel there right here, finding support. Whole point in this whole narrative when we're looking at all this is it's setting up so beautifully. And for those that can be patient, those that patience is going to be turning into profits very soon. The problem with most markets for people is the market can remain frustrating or irrational longer than most people can hang on to the ride before liftoff. So hang on to the ride, pick your spots, layer in, and you'll be seeing us in we have this villa thing here in Vegas. We're gonna be doing a lot of content. We're actually gonna be doing some content out of the Sin City crypto studios over the week as well. So a lot of stuff coming out from DZ and Josh and myself and Drew. We're gonna be got a lot coming to you guys, and big love to you all. I appreciate you all so much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. That's all I got, and I will see you in the next one. Audio. Actually, let me look because I cannot. I just want to make sure. One second. I want to make sure that I didn't get any super chats or something because I only have one screen. Okay, that's all we got. Big love, Mike. Hey, Nick Galley. I'm praying we fill the gaps in the low 90s. Got a lot of dry powder. I would love to get those CME futures gaps to fill. Crypto Coder says so true. Patience and discipline is everything. Big love to you. Dave Middleton. Big love to you. Green Day Profits. Oh my God, guys. Keep your eyes on Dog as well. Dog. I think there might be something coming from OKX, but that's all I got for today, everybody. I will see you in the next one. Adios, muchachos.